In the dead of night on a rain-slicked highway just outside Arlington, Virginia, where the shadows of the nation's capital loomed like forgotten promises, a single gunshot shattered the silence, echoing through the annals of American injustice. A racist cop pulls the trigger on a black Army lieutenant in full uniform, sparking a firestorm that engulfs the Pentagon in a vengeful storm of retribution. If this tale of systemic rot, explosive twists, and a shocking execution grips you like it should, hit that subscribe button right now. Join the thousands in the USA and UK uncovering raw truths through stories that demand justice. Because your voice amplifies the change we all crave. Subscribe, and let's expose the darkness together. The story began on a crisp autumn evening in October 2024, when Lieutenant Marcus Hale, a decorated black officer in the U.S. Army, fresh from a tour in the Middle East where he'd led reconnaissance missions that saved countless lives, decided to take a late-night drive back to his base at Fort Myer after visiting his ailing mother in nearby Alexandria. Marcus was the epitome of discipline and honor, a man who had risen through the ranks despite the subtle barriers of prejudice that dotted his career like landmines. Whispers in the barracks, overlooked promotions, the occasional stare that lingered too long on his dark skin beneath the camouflage. At 32 years old, with a wife named Elena waiting at home with their two young daughters, Marcus embodied the American dream twisted by the nightmare of inequality. He drove his modest sedan with the precision of a soldier, adhering to every speed limit, every signal, because he knew all too well that for men like him, a simple traffic stop could turn fatal. The highway was empty that night, save for the occasional semi-truck rumbling past, and Marcus hummed along to an old jazz tune on the radio, his mind drifting to the promotion board meeting scheduled for the next week. Colonel Hale had a nice ring to it. Little did he know that Officer Derek Voss, a burly white cop with a history of complaints buried under layers of blue-wall bureaucracy, was patrolling that very stretch of road, his cruiser hidden behind a billboard advertising life insurance. Ironic in hindsight. Voss was a relic of old-school policing, the kind who wore his badge like a shield against accountability, his record dotted with excessive force incidents, mostly against minorities, but always justified in reports as resisting arrest or threatening behavior. He'd been reprimanded twice for racial slurs caught on body cam, but the department swept it under the rug, citing stress from the job. Voss's father had been a cop, his grandfather too, a lineage of enforcers who viewed the badge as a license for unchecked power. As Marcus's car approached, Voss's radar gun pinged a false positive. Marcus was going exactly 55 in a 55 zone, but Voss, nursing a grudge from a recent diversity training session he despised, flicked on his lights anyway, muttering under his breath about another one thinking he's above the law. Marcus pulled over immediately, his training kicking in. Hands on the wheel, engine off, interior light on, no sudden movements. He rolled down the window as Voss approached, flashlight blinding, and politely asked, "Evening, officer. Is there a problem?" Voss's response was laced with venom. "License and registration, boy." The word boy hung in the air like smoke from a barrel, but Marcus stayed calm, reaching slowly for his glove compartment. "I'm a lieutenant in the Army, sir. Just heading back to base." Voss's eyes narrowed at the uniform, but instead of respect, it fueled his rage. How dare this black man wear the stars and stripes with such authority? As Marcus handed over his documents, Voss snatched them, scanning with feigned interest before tossing them back. "Step out of the vehicle." Marcus complied, hands visible, but as he unbuckled his seatbelt, Voss's paranoia spiked. He saw the outline of Marcus's service pistol in its holster, standard issue for officers off duty. "Gun!" Voss yelled, drawing his own weapon in a flash. Marcus froze, palms up. "It's holstered, officer. I'm not reaching for it." But Voss, heart pounding with the adrenaline of prejudice, fired once, the bullet tearing through Marcus's chest, dropping him to the asphalt in a pool of his own blood. The body cam captured all. No threat, no resistance, just a man gunned down for existing while black in uniform. Voss radioed it in as shots fired, suspect armed. But the truth was already leaking out via dash cam footage that would soon go viral. Word spread like wildfire the next morning. Elena Hale received the call at dawn, her world collapsing as she clutched her daughters, tears streaming as military chaplains arrived at her door. The Army community was in uproar. Marcus wasn't just any soldier. He was a hero with a Silver Star for bravery in Afghanistan, where he'd pulled 3 comrades from a burning Humvee under enemy fire. Protests erupted outside the police station in Arlington, chants of justice for Lieutenant Hale, echoing through the streets, drawing crowd from D.C. and beyond. Social media exploded with hashtags like hashtag Black Lives in Uniform and hashtag Racist Cop Killer. The body cam video leaked by an anonymous whistleblower within hours, amassing millions of views. The Pentagon, usually a bastion of measured responses, felt the pressure mounting. General Elias Thorne, a grizzled veteran and head of Army personnel, watched the footage in his office, his fists clenched. Thorne was no stranger to racism. As a young black cadet at West Point in the 80s, he'd faced hazing that bordered on abuse, but he'd climbed to the top through sheer grit. "This ends now," he muttered to his aides. The official statement from the Department of Defense was swift: condemnation of the shooting, demands for a federal investigation. But behind closed doors, something darker brewed. Thorne convened a secret meeting with key Pentagon officials, including representatives from military intelligence and special operations. "This isn't just murder," Thorne argued. "It's an attack on our ranks. If we let this slide, every black soldier becomes a target." Whispers of retaliation began, not through courts, but through shadows. Voss was arrested that day on manslaughter charges, but bail was set low, and he walked free pending trial, smirking at the cameras, his union backing him with a defense fund. The twist came when anonymous threats arrived at Voss's home. Letters with Pentagon postmarks, warning of justice beyond the law. Voss laughed it off at first, but then his cruiser was vandalized, tires slashed with military-grade knives. The media frenzy intensified, with CNN and Fox News debating the racial undertones. While in the UK, the BBC ran specials on American policing, drawing parallels to their own issues with institutional bias. As weeks turned to months, the investigation dragged on, prosecutors hesitant to push for murder one, citing Voss's fear for his life. Marcus's funeral was a national event, attended by the vice president, with full military honors, taps playing as his casket was lowered, Elena saluting through her grief. But the Pentagon's undercurrents grew stronger. Enter Captain Lena Voss, no relation to the cop, but a coincidence that would prove fateful, a white intelligence officer assigned to monitor the case. Lena had her own secrets. Raised in a progressive family, she joined the Army to make a difference, but witnessed too many cover-ups. Digging deeper, she uncovered Voss's history. Not just complaints, but a pattern of targeting black drivers, with dashcam audio revealing slurs like monkey in uniform. Lena leaked this to Thorne, who nodded grimly. "We can't let the system fail again." The first major twist unfolded when Voss disappeared one night after leaving a bar. His truck found abandoned on the same highway stretch. Panic set in. Kidnapping? Suicide? The FBI joined the hunt, but leads vanished like smoke. Meanwhile, in an undisclosed black site run by Pentagon contractors, Voss awoke strapped to a chair, facing a panel of shadowed figures. "You murdered one of ours," a voice intoned, Thorne's though masked. This was no official operation. It was a rogue element, disillusioned vets and officers tired of systemic failures. Voss spat defiance. He was reaching, but they played the footage, looping it until he broke, admitting his racism on hidden record. The execution was swift, a simulated court-martial, then a single shot, echoing Marcus's fate. His body dumped in the Potomac, discovered days later with a note, "Pentagon justice served." The revelation sent shockwaves through Washington. The media dubbed it the Pentagon's shadow war, with outlets like the New York Times publishing exposés on military vigilantism. Elena Hale, initially horrified, found solace in the closure, though publicly she denounced violence. But twists piled on. It emerged that Lena Voss was Derek's distant cousin, her involvement a personal vendetta, after learning of family ties stained by his actions. She turned whistleblower, testifying before Congress, exposing not just the execution but a network of similar operations. Pentagon sanctioned hits on threats to national security, now twisted for personal justice. Thorne was arrested, his career in ruins, but sympathizers in the ranks leaked documents showing high-level approval, implicating the Secretary of Defense in vague oversight failures. Protests evolve into riots, with Black Lives Matter clashing with Blue Lives supporters, cities burning from LA to New York. In the UK, Parliament debated U.S. alliances, questioning aid to a military gone rogue. Elena, thrust into activism, founded the Hale Foundation for Police Reform, her speeches drawing crowds across the Atlantic. Yet another twist. Forensic evidence suggested Voss's execution was staged. His body showed signs of self-inflicted wounds, but ballistics matched military issue. Was it suicide, coerced by threats, or a cover for something bigger? Investigations revealed a deeper conspiracy, a white supremacist cell within the police force, of which Voss was a member, planning attacks on military bases to purge the ranks. The Pentagon's action, rogue or not, had thwarted a terror plot. Thorne was exonerated in part, hailed as a hero by some, villain by others. Marcus's legacy lived on, his daughters growing up in a world slightly shifted, body cams mandatory, diversity training revamped, but scars remained. Elena remarried a fellow activist, their blended family a symbol of resilience. The story closed with a Senate hearing, where Lena testified, "Justice isn't vengeance, but when the system fails, shadows rise." The nation grappled with the blurred lines between right and wrong. The execution a catalyst for change, or perhaps just another cycle of violence in America's fractured soul. Expanding the tale, Lieutenant Marcus Hale's childhood was marked by the streets of Chicago's South Side, where gang violence claimed his older brother, pushing him toward the military as an escape and purpose. Enlisting at 18, he excelled in basic training, his sharp mind earning him officer candidate school. In Iraq, he led a platoon through ambushes, his quick thinking saving lives, but the PTSD lingered, manifesting in nightmares that Elena soothed with late-night talks. Their marriage was a beacon, met at a base event, her, as a nurse, their love defying odds. That fateful night, as Voss approached, Marcus thought of his girls, Maya and Zoe, their drawings of Daddy the hero taped to his locker. The shot pierced his lung, his last words a gurgle of "Tell them I love." Voss, panicking, planted a throwaway gun, but the cam caught it. The department's internal affairs dragged feet, chief claiming isolated incident. Protests swelled, celebrities like LeBron James tweeting support, funds pouring in for Elena. Thorne's meeting included Colonel Ramirez, a Latina vet with her own grievances, and Major Kwan, Asian American intelligence specialist. They debated ethics. "This is treason," Kwan argued. "No, it's survival," Thorne countered. Lena's dig revealed Voss's KKK ties, emails plotting with supremacists. The abduction was precise, special forces tactics, chloroform in the bar parking lot. In the site, Voss faced interrogation. "Why him?" "He looked at me wrong," Voss sneered. The trial was mock. Evidence presented, guilty verdict. The shot rang out, body disposed. Discovery led to autopsies conflicting. Suicide or murder? FBI agent Sarah Mills, assigned, uncovered Pentagon leaks, her own black heritage fueling pursuit. Twists. Mills was Marcus's cousin, hidden to avoid bias. She confronted Thorne, who revealed the terror plot. Voss's cell planning to bomb Fort Myer. Evidence planted? No real, verified by intercepts. Thorne's arrest was show, released on national security grounds. Elena's foundation lobbied for bills, passing the Hale Act for federal oversight on police shootings. UK audiences drew parallels to Stephen Lawrence case, petitions circulating. Final twist. Voss wasn't dead, faked by Pentagon to extract info, now in witness protection, testifying against his cell. Marcus's death sparked dismantlement of hate groups, but at what cost? The narrative ends with Elena at his grave, whispering, "Your sacrifice wasn't in vain," as rain falls, symbolizing renewal amid pain.